Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this episode is 662. Now, we're going to be talking today all about you and your purpose. You see, once you discover your purpose, you're able to live a life of your dreams, your desires. Whatever you want, I believe you'll go ahead and get it, and you will be able to feel more emotional freedom than you could ever possibly imagine. You see, there was a time in my life when I felt an absolute lack of purpose. In fact, it wasn't even lack, it was zero purpose. And every day I went to work, and this was for a very brief period of time, maybe about a year or so, that I just dreaded it. I was looking forward to Friday, and I dreaded Sunday evenings. And as that dread began to build up, I was like, look, something doesn't feel right. I should be in a different place by now. Like, I did have dreams as a child to do certain things, but somewhere along the way, I got lost. And feeling not worthy, feeling not good enough, feeling like an imposter really had a huge effect on that. So my first disclaimer of this is, yes, absolutely, we're going to get into your purpose today. 100% we're getting into your purpose. We're going to discover it. So if you've got a pen and a paper, feel free to grab it right now, because we're going to be utilizing it to discover that purpose. So, like I said, we got to let go of the real cause, and we'll get into as to why that is as well, because values are the things which really motivate us. Now, the reason why I say values when it comes to your purpose, if you have enough purpose, you have enough value in doing something, you feel energized, you feel like you just want to make it happen. So part of finding your purpose is about discovering the things which drive you forward. Now, if we think of what the unconscious mind does, it runs the belief systems, and that's why I said, look, go ahead and make sure you discover that limiting core belief. The one thing which is stopping all of this to become a reality, which is creating the anxiety, creating the self-sabotage, all of that stuff. We want to make sure we remove it. If you need help with that, of course, as always, go to josephclough.info/talk. If you got to be a professional though, you got to apply for this program. It's fully tailored to your needs. It's customized to your path of being absolutely unstoppable. We're releasing the imposter syndrome. We let go of everything if you're a good fit. And on this call, once you go to that link, josephclough.info/talk, we'll get clear on what you're going through. We'll understand where you want to be. We'll figure out what's getting in the way unconsciously. And once we do, we'll figure out if we can serve you or not. But you have to be invested. It is fully customized to your needs. You work with our team, so we can support you. So once again, that is josephclough.info/talk. That's what you got to do. You got to go there, and then we can support you. But as I said, we got to be clear on the blocks which are getting in our way. When we talked about that in a previous episode, I think it was actually episode 660. But if we talk about our purpose, as I said, the unconscious mind runs the values. It runs the things that are important to us. It runs the driving force. You don't decide that. And that's why we don't know our purpose. That's why it's hard to get motivated about our job. It's hard to figure out what we actually want out of life. So remember, if you really want to make sure you're going to discover your purpose, you have to meet the unconscious mind too. Yes, you need the conscious work, you need to understand it, and that's why I'm saying get a pen and paper ready, because you need to uncover it. Now, here's the first step. In order to get to your purpose, you must discover the things that are important to you. And they will be very ambiguous at first, so stay with me. There's a few parts to this process in discovering it. But realize your unconscious mind is going to be the gateway to your purpose. You're going to figure out why you've been doing things which don't make you happy. You're going to figure out why the things are going to make you happy and live a life of financial abundance maybe, or doing what you love while traveling the world, whatever it is for you. That is what we're going to discover, but realize it is an unconscious system. It's not something that you choose to do. And also on top of that, and we'll get into it later, there may be some huge blocks attached to those values, which is causing you to self-sabotage every moment of a step or each step of the way to that goal. And if you don't meet the unconscious mind on what it's doing, that becomes an issue. So here's the first thing I'd like you to think about. When you think about doing something that you love, rather thinking about what it is, that is a pitfall. We don't always know what it is. So we've got to go beneath the surface a little bit. And I want you to ask yourself on the inside, and have your pen and paper ready for this. When you think about doing something that you love, what's important to you about that? What's important to you? And by importance, it could be like maybe a feeling. It may be walking outside. It could be walking with people. But just consider what is important to you about a career or a job or a passion or anything like that. Or if you were to have an idea of your purpose, what's important to you? And just come up with one at the moment. It could be a thought, it could be a feeling, it could be like in other words, it's a value of something that is important to you. Consider what that would be and write that down. Now, as you think about that one, what else is important to you? What else is important to you? For example, it could be things like, I want to make an impact. Well, that's a value. That's important to you. That's definitely one of mine. I want to be able to make an impact in the world. So if I was doing a job or a career which didn't have that value, that could be devastating to me unconsciously and consciously. So write down maybe making it or being of purpose, or having a purpose, or making an impact in the world. Could be anything. What else is important? Maybe abundance is important to you. I know it is to me. I want to be financially abundant and free so I can help more people on that purpose. So maybe you write down, well, money is important to me. I don't want to be living my purpose but not be able to do it because I can't afford the roof over my head. I can't afford to eat. So maybe you're going to write down something like money. What else is important? Maybe success. Maybe connection. Maybe, like I said, walking with people. Maybe it's walking outside. Think about all the things that are important to you, not about what it is, but about what makes you sing, what makes you feel good. Now, you should be finding a minimum of 15 of these. A minimum. And you might be like, that's way too many. Don't worry about it. Once you empty out the conscious stuff, others are going to appear as well. Maybe, for example, love. Maybe you want to have love in the thing that you do, right? Maybe you want, here's another good one. Maybe you want freedom. Maybe you want freedom. And that can be very ambiguous, right? But freedom to travel, freedom to have more time. All of those things. Think about what's important to you about living life. Because that's going to be a part of your purpose. What's meaningful to you? As I said, when I was doing this, I had things like money, I had success, I had love, I had making an impact. I had, did I say freedom? If not, definitely freedom was there. I had passion there. There's so many different thoughts and feelings when it came to my purpose. And I didn't realize what I wanted to do yet fully. But I had an idea, I had a feeling that this is what it would contain. If I don't know what the purpose is or what I want to be doing in my life, I at least now know what values are important to that. You see, once you figure that out, then the thing will appear. But most of the time, we're going from one career to another and we don't know why we're doing what we're doing. We don't know why we're not happy. And this is everything. You can do the exact same process for relationships. What's important to you about a relationship? Maybe it's love, maybe it's intimacy, maybe it's sex, maybe it's sharing, maybe it's going on adventures, maybe it's spiritual. Like, there's so many different values when it comes to relationships which will be important to you. Maybe trust is there, right? Maybe we were missing trust. And that is why we were attracting people which didn't serve us. Maybe we went just for safe and we didn't have a fulfillment of the excitement and the adventure. We can start to recognize why we're doing things and why it's not working out. Most of the time, people are asleep to this. They're sedated by their experience. They're sedated by what they were taught at school. They've been sedated by what they've been through in life. When they've been told that, who are you to have that dream? Who are you to have that kind of relationship? What do you mean you're going to be an entrepreneur? What do you mean you're going to be able to run your own business? What do you mean you're going to travel the world and do the thing that you love? We've been so sedated by the external noise that we start to close off what is important to us because we fear of what will happen if we do it. We have fear of success, fear of failure, fear of what people think, fear of getting help, the fear of not being enough. So once we get that program from the outside world, those values are like, there's no way I'm going to think about them. So your unconscious mind buries them. And as it buries them, you start to feel unhappy. But not today. Today we're doing something different. Today we're starting to discover the things that are really important to you, the things which make your heart sing. So really think about this. Think about what is important to you. Forget about the past for a moment. I think back to children where they just have that unlimited creativity, the imagination. They don't know what is possible and what is not possible. We got to go back to that for a moment. We've got to go back to the limitless, not the limited. So really be honest with yourself. When you think about living a life of purpose, when you think about living a life of joy, living a life of meaning, what's important to you? You see, when people say, well, what's the meaning of life? I always just simply go, well, the meaning of life is the meaning of getting meaning out of the life and the time that we have. And the meaning out of that is the things that are important to you. So what are your values? If we're doing this live, which we are for those who are listening to the podcast and the app in the future, feel free to write them down in the comments too. Like I said, maybe it's love, maybe it's success, maybe it's freedom, maybe it's passion and purpose, maybe it's excitement, maybe there's going to be a level of peace, maybe security. Like, I'm just railing these off at the top of my head. So if you really ask yourself, what is important to you when you think about living a meaningful life? Write this down. Get 15 of them, at least. If you really go deep, you're going to get 20, 30. If you're really, really serious about this. But whatever you've got, let's say you've got 10 or so. Bare minimum 10. Let's go for actually 15. Look, let's stretch our mind a little bit. Let's dig a little bit deeper. What is important to you? Now, if you have that list of importance, the things which are important to you, and they're just kind of random, they just came to you as they came to you. Some were like, yeah, that's really what I want, and some are a little bit less so. Well, it's now time to make a hierarchy of that. So, if you've got the 15, okay, if you could only have one of those, only one from that list, which one would you choose? Now, I know you may be thinking, look, Joseph, I want all of these. Well, don't worry about that yet. We're making a hierarchy of this. If you could only have one from that list, which one would you choose? And think hard about it. And then what you do is you write that one on another piece of paper or another area of that piece of paper. Okay? Let's just say for me it was maybe, let's say success, because success is very high up on my one. So I'm going to take out of that group of things I came up with, I'm going to go ahead and put success there. I'm going to cross it out on one side because I'll put it over this side. And then I'm going to ask myself, well, if I could only have one other one from that big list, what would I choose? Only one from the remaining, which one would I choose? And then what you do is you take that one, you cross it off because you're putting it over here. Okay? Now you can probably notice a theme here. Because what's going to happen next? If you look back at the remaining ones of that pot of all those things which are important to you, if you could only have one more of the remaining, which one would you choose? Go ahead, put it over to the other side. Cross it off over here and put it over here as number 3. And you repeat it, and you repeat it until you get to about 5 or 6. And as you look at the 5 and 6, they're obviously in hierarchy. There's one of most important to a lesser importance. Still important, but slightly less. Now, if you look at your job and your career, and then you look at that hierarchy of importance of values, how many of those are in the thing that you do presently? And be honest. Like if mine will say success, impact, love, excitement, and freedom, my job is that, right? Did I say money? Because I want money in there as well. Just because obviously it's my business and I want to make a bigger impact in the world. I want that abundance. But I would say 100% yes, 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 yes. But if I go back to when I was 18 years old, when I didn't do what I do right now, I go back to that 18-year-old me who was in insurance, corporate insurance, doing insurance for fleets of cars. I would say, oh my goodness, none of my highest values are being hit whatsoever. None of them. The only one which could possibly be a potentiality in the future, maybe 2 of them, would have been success, because I'm a very committed individual. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be successful. I just feel like I've got that fight in my beingness. So that would maybe there because I wanted to go up the career ladder. I would have wanted to become a director of a company in insurance. And maybe the other one, which would be the byproduct, would have maybe been financial security and the money in abundance, right? But the others, the love, the success, the excitement, that wouldn't have been there. And that would have made me realize that that job for me personally, because some people will love that, didn't make me sing, didn't make me want to get up. And that's why I was dreading going to work on a Sunday night. Now I cannot wait to wake up. I promise you. I have that fear of missing out kind of syndrome. I just want to be awake all the time. If there was a magic pill that would only allow me to sleep for like 1 hour and restore my body immediately in that hour, I would take it because I want to be doing what I do most of the time. Because it is fulfilling my values. It is hitting those values. And that means I am living a life of purpose. Okay? So if you look at the list that you've came up with, and as you think about that hierarchy, how many of those are being fulfilled? Now you might be going, oh my goodness, Joseph, I got all of them. The one's missing, maybe money. And then you realize, oh, maybe that's why I'm not actually financially abundant in doing what I'm doing. Because money is a latter part. Or maybe you didn't even choose money on that list. So you're doing the thing that you love, but you're not abundant because money's not important to you. Or maybe you're not even doing it because you don't believe there's money attached to it. Because if we're going to live a life of doing what we love the most in purpose, and not that we have to, by the way, here's the other big thing. You don't have to live a life of purpose when it comes to your career. Don't buy into that. You may be happy just doing what you're doing and then just doing your hobbies and things like that. Do that. Whatever makes you happy makes you happy. Don't buy into it. But if you are recognizing that what you're doing right now is making you unhappy, this would be why your values are not being met. And the values are the things which motivate us. They're the things why we get up in the morning. They're the things which are important to us. So if we're not doing the things which are important to us, guess what happens? We start to get depressed because we're having less meaning. And if we're having less meaning, we feel like we're dying on the inside. So we need to tap back into that. So recognize it. Wake up to the fact that this is your unconscious values. And some of them may not be met right now. Now, do you have to have each and every one of those fulfilled to the highest level? No. But if you're not hitting most of them, then something's wrong. And you'll know that based on if you're enjoying your job, if you're enjoying your career, enjoying your life. So remember that. Now, there are a couple of advanced things we can do with this. Now, this will involve you getting help on one level, maybe 2 levels. But let's get into the depth of this. Let's say that success was number 1. Whatever your highest values and things you want to do in the world, success was your highest value. But what if that success, that one value, was negatively charged with the fear of it? Negatively charged with the fear of not getting it, therefore the fear of failure. So you can have a high value for success, but if it's negatively charged with fear, worries, and doubts, then of course you may slightly get there, but then you're going to self-sabotage. Another one, as an example, say money was your highest one, but when attached to that value of money was fear of not having it, the limiting beliefs that money doesn't grow on trees, well, literally it comes from trees, or it used to. I know it's more plastic these days. But if we think about it, if we have these limiting beliefs about money, and it's charged with scarcity, you may get out of that debt, feel okay, and then go back into it. Maybe you have that pattern. There it comes and then it goes. Because maybe unconsciously that high value of money, which is good because you can make an impact in the world, but if it's charged with a negative association, if it has a ton of fear, worry, and scarcity attached to that higher value, it means it's important to you, but you self-sabotage it because of the fear attached to it. I hope that makes sense, because if you get this, if you understand it, and we start to recognize this pattern that we've been making, that we've been fulfilling, the stories we've been telling ourselves, it comes down to your unconscious mind. It comes down to what the inner workings, the things which are important to you. But usually we're not fulfilling the things which are important to us. So, recap very quickly before we move on. You have to be consciously aware of the values which drive you forward. If not, you may never hit them. If not, you may recognize that this is, well, if we carry on the same way, we may not even know and just think this is the job we should be doing. Like I said, we change it to relationship. We might be thinking, oh, this is why I'm attracting all the people that don't serve me. There's why I keep getting overlooked from the promotion. There's why I don't get the money and abundance that I desire. Because we're not aware of our values. We're not consciously being aware of the unconscious process. So ask yourself what is important to you and come up with that list. Minimum of 15. If you haven't got the energy to do that, then maybe you just be at peace with where you are, because it does take time. I'm a big into investing time to make my life great. I'm really big into putting all my development into myself, because I know when I become an example and I get to help more people. So make sure you spend the adequate time coming with that list of a minimum of 15. Then once you got the list, you want to be able to say which one is the most important to me. If I could only have one, what would it be? You take that one and put it over here. Cross it over on the big group. Then you say, what else is important to me if I can only have one more? Until you have a good 5 or 6 of them, and that will be your hierarchy of importance. But then you've got to recognize which one is missing, or how many are missing from the things that I do right now in my job, my career. If they're not being met, that is why we may be unhappy. We don't have to meet them all, because some we may let go of, and that's okay. Be at peace with that. But you got to be conscious of it. And then that latter part, the advanced part, was recognizing when you think of that value. Let's go with that first one again. Say it's success. What feeling do you have attached to it? Is it positive or is it a negative? Is it a towards something or away from pain? Because if it's charged with an away from pain, if it's charged with fear, then of course we're not going to be able to get to where we want to be. So you need to be able to recognize what's the percentage. When I do this with my clients, we're like, okay, what's the percentage of away and toward? From the fear to the success. If you're like 70% having the fear around that success, then we're not going to really get there. We want to clean that out. We want to remove the resistance, because it will be resistance. So when you remove the resistance, guess what happens? Well, you start to be in alignment with that goal and dream of being of purpose. You get to be in alignment with your desires, with your heart, your mind, and your body. Now, the other thing that we got to think about is that maybe there'll be a missing value that is important. As I said, as an example, that if you've got all these good things here, but like maybe money wasn't a part of it, then maybe money's got to be a part of it. Maybe it's got to be a driving force, because when you have a higher value for money, which is, say, good and abundance, and if you have money issues, recognize that the wealthier you are, the more you can help your community, at the very least. We're not serving anyone if we're poor. It's true. Well, we can serve people by just being nice, but we can serve so much more by being abundant. Because we can be nice and also give to charities, we can give to our communities, we can create, we can innovate, we can have security, we can have healthcare, we can have like the best to be able to protect ourselves and even our future, say our children or whoever's in our immediate family that we want to pass something down to. So get out the money stuff and recognize it can be okay. It can actually be used for good. I always say that money just expands you. If you're not a nice person, then it might expand more not niceness, if that's even a term. But if you're a good person, and I think if you're listening and watching this right now, at this point, you probably are, right? So recognize that once you get the abundance, it's only going to expand those great qualities, that heart of yours. So say money was missing there. That could be why we're not getting paid what we're worth. That's why we can't do what we want to do full time. So sometimes we need to consciously feed in a new value and then move the values so they're congruent with one another. You see, I had some values which were messed up, and my success was actually pretty low at one point. So I got my unconscious mind to put it up to number one. Because I knew if I was successful in any endeavor, I'd have successful, say, relationships or health or abundance, and it'll trickle down. If I had success in my business, it makes me feel good. If I had success with my clients, then that's all good and great. So I wanted to artificially, you could say, program my unconscious mind to lift up that value. So that was it. Clean it out so there's no resistance. So I'm totally aligned with doing what I want to be doing out of life. This is what we've got to do to discover your purpose. You're going to figure out the next step. Because then when you think about doing the things that you want to be doing, you can then consciously go, well, does it fulfill my values? The values that we've just uncovered, are they present? Because if most are not present, that's probably not going to be the best fit if you want it as a career, passion, purpose, mission, ambition. But if most of them are there, it would usually mean you're in a good thing when you think about doing it. So that is how you start to find your purpose, by understanding what your unconscious mind is doing, waking up to the fact that they're in there already, but we've just not discovered them yet. And we want to make sure we uncover them by listing them out, emptying them all out on a piece of paper, putting them in the hierarchy, and then recognizing, are they clean values? Are they positively charged when I think about that? Or is it negatively? Is there fear and doubt? Then I'll do whatever I can to let go of that resistance. I'll do whatever I can to let go of the imposter syndrome, which is getting in the way, or the fear of failure, the fear of not being enough, the fear of getting help, all of those things. I would go all in on working on letting go. For when you do, you're a land. And that means you can live a life of love. You can live a life of meaning. And I think that's the meaning of life, to find meaning out of it. That's my story. That's my mission. That's my idea. That's my logical truth. But whatever yours is yours, and that is good and great. But I hope you got value from this. On the next episode, we'll be looking to be able to utilize this in a hypnosis session. So maybe that dream and goal can come up to your conscious mind that bit more. It's gonna be amazing. So it's time to wake up from the sedation. Cut out the noise, forget about the past, and recognize that this is your time. This is your opportunity. This is the time that you create what you desire, because you are worth it. Even if you don't believe it yet, get the help to realize it. Let go of the imposter syndrome. Do whatever it takes to let it go. Because that's what we do. Like I said, if you need help with that and you are dedicated, you are so ferociously focused and willing, invested to put the time in just for 8 weeks to let go of this, you can go to josephclough.info/talk. When you do, you'll go ahead and book a call with us, fill out an application, 6-7 questions, prepares the team for your call. And then on that call, we'll figure out exactly and get clear on exactly what is getting, or what you'd like to let go of, exactly what you want to achieve, to get clear on what's unconsciously stopping you, and then come up with a plan to make it a reality if you're a good fit. You got to be a good fit. We don't take on anyone. That's why it's application only. That's josephclough.info/talk. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. It will uncover your purpose. Find the values behind why you do what you do. When you recognize why you do what you do, you'll also recognize why you haven't been living that life so far, why we've been having the bad relationships, why we've never been doing or enjoyed our career. Because it's all within you. You just got to discover it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I look forward to speaking to you in a future one. Many thanks and goodbye.